Tropez is completed, and now, ladies and gentlemen, it heads into the really exciting part where we head into the jump-off, and there is a long list of riders that have qualified for the second round that has been set up by Gregory Bordeaux. Who is in the jump-off, you ask? Well, that's a very fair, valid question. Let me answer that for you. These are the riders that have now been able to conquer this course, jump clear, and make it into the second round. Jérôme Guéry, Killer Queen, first to go. Scott Brash, winner in Shanghai. He will be second to go. Julien Epaillard, winner on the French Riviera in 2024. Donatello having won LGCT Grand Prix already. Penelope Lopreveau, what a moment that is for the Frenchwoman and for the French crowd alongside Epaillard. Philip Weishout and Oreo, still very young, very impressive. Championship leaders Gilles Thomas, Ken Farrington, and Natalie Dean with a Kota M. What a weekend she is having, getting onto the podium for the Canstars, powered by the Iron Dames in the Global Champions League, and now getting into the jump-off of today's LGCT Grand Prix. Natalie Dean, it has been a superb weekend. Let's hear from the Frenchman first, Julien Epaillard, and get his thoughts on jumping clear.
Julien, you won this back in 2023 and he delivered a beautiful clear then again.
Yes, I'm really happy. The horse jumped super today. He have a long break after the World Cup final. So he's coming up. I think it's his fourth show. And yeah, I feel again my horse very good condition.
I think a lot of people said to me when they walked the course that it looked pretty fair, but it's causing quite a few issues tonight.
It's the beginning of the course. We have the two combination at the beginning, number 4 and number 7. So yeah, after this, if you jump it this clear, you need to keep energy. Yeah, but I think we have a couple of clear today between 8 and 10.
We know that you're always fast into a jump-off as well. Do you think it's going to be really competitive this evening? We know it always is, but from the riders that have gone clear?
Yeah, it's 8 fences, 9 jumps for the jump-off. It's a quite long jump-off. I just saw now. Yeah, try to do my best.
I must say the predictions have been spot on, by the way. Gregory Bordeaux suggesting between 8 to 12 in the jump-off. We have 8. Julien Epaillard earlier on this afternoon after jumping clear, suggesting probably round about 8. And that's exactly where we find ourselves, 8 in the jump-off. That includes Julien Epaillard. Is he going to be the most dangerous man in that list? We'll wait and see. Philip Weishout, no stranger to success on the LGCT stage. Let's hear from the German following his clear round.
Philip, a wonderful clear from you. You went slightly later in the class. Were you able to watch a few others and make a plan, or did you stick to what you had walked?
I had my plan after I walked. I got confirmed with my plan when I saw the first couple going, but then during the course I had to change it a little bit. My horse didn't jump as far out of the vertical oxer combination as I thought, so I decided to do 7 on the outside, which was in that moment the right thing to do. The 6 would have been too flat, so I decided to do 7. I think you always have to have a plan, but if that plan, for somehow the feeling in the ring is a little different, you have to be able to adapt to that.
Particularly in this ring, I guess it's a bit smaller, the jumps are coming up a bit quicker.
Yeah, exactly. You have to be awake here. I don't know how many, like 18 jumps in 70 seconds, so that's every couple of seconds a jump, so it's coming quick here, yeah.
Talking of coming quick, the jump-off is also going to be there, and it looks like it might be a fast jump-off tonight.
Let's hope. It's for us, a good one for us. I walked it already in the first round, the jump-off. It looks a bit tricky. You have to be smart in your turns. For me, Oreo is relatively new. He has not done many jump-offs yet. So if I can do another clear round and quite quick, I'm more than happy. I don't have to go crazy.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thoughts of Philip Weishout ahead of tonight's jump-off. We're now moments away from getting that underway. What a privilege to have into the studio to join us for that jump-off. One of the greatest to ever do it. Henrik von Ackermann joins us in the studio. Henrik, welcome to the studio. Been nice to catch up with you. Not what you were hoping for. Take me through what took place for you in round 1 before we started the jump-off. Give me some thoughts, some reaction.
Yeah, of course, I'd rather be on the warm-up now, warming up for the jump-off, but that's not the case today. I think the course builder did a very nice job. It was a nice course to ride, but of course a quite small course, and everything comes very quickly. And I think Iliana did a great job. I came a little bit too open into the triple combination. I was a little bit afraid of the second bar of the oxer coming in because it's quite off the corner. And so I went on my first one out of the corner, and it got a little bit flat, and then she had the middle rail down, and yeah. And then anyway, I tried to be quick, and I could finish up with an 11th place in the end, so it was something anyway.
Explain to us what everyone is talking about when they talk about a small ring like this being very connected. Why is that rhythm so important? What happens if and when you get a single fence wrong? How it has such a knock-on effect for the rest of the round? Explain the importance of that in such a small ring like this.
Yeah, I mean, the idea with it that you want to ride with rhythm and keep the rhythm, because when the horses can go in the rhythm and jump out of the rhythm, it's much easier. You keep them jumping in a better way. It's easier for them to jump these big jumps. But if you break that rhythm, like on a distance where it should be normal 6 or 7 or 4, whatever it is, you take one more, or you come out of the corner and have to hold too much, you break that rhythm, and then you have to go a lot backwards, and that takes
catch up.
Exactly, and that takes a lot of strength out of the horse. Or you have to go a lot forward and you make them flat. So, you know, that's the thing. And everything, when it comes so quickly after each other, you have to be really focused. And if you lose that focus, just a small fraction of a second, it could be over.
Just over your shoulder here, I see the course design of the jump off is currently being displayed. I know you have walked it. I saw you doing some counting earlier on. Can you give us some thoughts on what has been set up by Gregory Bordeaux for the jump off?
Yeah, I mean, in the end, in this small ring, it comes down to a little bit also the speed of the horse, because you can't, you know, between 1 and 2, yeah, you can do 8 strides instead of 9 strides. But many of the places you can't start to take away 5 strides, you know, so you need a quick horse. For example, if I take an example of Le Prévost, her horse, it's a very big jumping and makes it very easy, but from traveling, it's not the quickest. Yeah. That one will get very hard to win a class like this. For me, almost impossible today. Because if you compare to Scott Brash, to Kent Farrington, these type of horses, it is an advantage in a ring like this.
Better suited, better designed almost for a ring like this.
Yes, because it's different if you have a huge ring with a big stride, you can take away a lot of strides, but here you can't, you know, you're limited. And that's why, you know, in the end we will see, you know, Julian Epaya, Scott Brash, Kent Farrington, also maybe an outsider, but Natalie Dean's horse is very, very quick. Could be a little surprise. She's last to go.
We're going to hear from Gilles Thomas in a few moments' time. Maybe share a thought on Gilles jumping a 9-year-old in this Grand Prix. The bravery for him to make that selection, for it to jump the way it's done, as a man that produces super horses, to come to a show like this in a difficult ring with a 9-year-old and make a jump off. What a statement that is from Gilles Thomas.
Absolutely, but it's not, you know, they are very precise and very good in what they're doing, so they wouldn't put a 9-year-old in there if they wouldn't be sure. And I've seen this horse a little bit, and a really nice one, I think, and I think it was perfect today, and the first round looked also very, very easy, and even if it's 9, it had a good round, and it's a good of producing the horse.
What do you need to work on at home then to try and make these small rings more suited to you? And I know one would argue you have the right kind of horse, but surely it's impossible to have a horse that's going to suit every ring. So what are some of the tricks as one of the best in the world? What can you work on? What can these younger riders in particular try and focus on when they are back at home, when they are training, when they're producing these horses? What are some of the better techniques that you would advise some of the younger riders to do?
Oh, I mean, it doesn't matter if it's a big ring or small ring, but, you know, you need to have control. You need to be able to do it in the rhythm. That's always my, anyway, big advice, to be able to ride in a nice rhythm without disturbing the horses, because when we break the rhythm, like I said before, that makes it harder for them, and that we don't want.
All right, we're going to put Gilles Thomas on ice. The first rider is in. This is Jérôme Guéry and Killer Queen. He was the first to qualify, which means he is the first to go. The Belgian will set the pace. We are with Henrik van Ackerman, giving us some insights, some thoughts to today's jump-off. The first of 8, Jérôme Guéry makes his way into the ring now.
Helmets for Saint-Tropez. The winner of the Grand Prix with us in Miami, Grand Cru van der Rosenberg in 2017, and 2 years later, the winner of the Longines Global Champions Tour Grand Prix in Mexico City with Kellum de Hoos, who retired late last season. The Vice World Champion, Jérôme Guéry, will set us into action. This is his brand new ride this year. This is their very first 5-star Grand Prix and their first, of course, Longines Global Champions Tour Grand Prix. The first of the 2 for Belgium, and Belgium have never won this Grand Prix in our 6th edition history. Killer Queen, this rangy mare, she's 13. Diablo Blanco's daughter down into the shadow zone, out over 3. The getaway turn is smooth. Jérôme's keeping this round in his hand, not yet going for broke as this newcomer to the level turns now right-handed into the Longines Global Champions Tour vertical at 15. Great stride, he sees down the Oxa and now whistles around the corner. Jérôme Guéry, 30 seconds just prior to the wall with now the pale blue rails on top of it. Jérôme Guéry now set sail for the final fence here in Ramatuelle Saint-Tropez for the first double clear of the afternoon. It's simply very impressive what this man has done once again. Bearing in mind their rawness is a...
We have our benchmark. It is a clear for Jérôme Guéry, who jumps double clear in the afternoon, sets the clock at 45.23. Henrik, some thoughts on Jérôme? They're so difficult to go first, to try and set that benchmark. You never quite know where it stands, do you?
No, exactly. As first one, it's definitely a disadvantage. But he did a good job, and now you have to look and see how many faults. For sure, it was a good round, but it will go faster.
It didn't look as if there were many strides added there, so I'm wondering where those to follow are going to try cut them out.
I think maybe 1 or 2 will try, not Scott now with his one, but we'll go maybe 1, 2, 8. He did 9. But okay, you have to see a little bit. If you shape the 9, that means on a curve, then you're going to be faster on number 2 to the combination instead of doing 8 and you fly in the wrong direction. So it's a little bit of a, you know, a game to see where you can do it.
It's a balancing act. Scott Brash next in the ring. The time to beat, 45.23.
Fleet-footed down to the Seahorses Oxa, and this is much quicker. Getaway time inside to the Longines verticals. Unsure Lady then compresses with Scott Brash around the turn to the Longines Global Champions Tour vertical. Split time will be way clear, surely. 2 seconds the advantage here. Scott Brash, 3 fences to go for his second Longines Global Champions Tour Grand Prix this season. Unsure Lady opens up the angle to the Lugano. Oxa, and now the home run. Scott Brash races down to the final phase. Look at this time. He knocks a chunk out of Jérôme Guéry's time. 3.68 seconds is the British advantage. And 41.55 is the gauntlet Scott Brash throws down on the table.
Wow. Well, asking about how much can you shave off the clock? Well, from 45.23, Scott Brash just sets a 41.55, Henrik. Talk to me about that.
No, I mean, like we said, it's a very, very fast horse, but also the course suits. You see, he came around the corner on the 6th stride and had to chip over the vertical and still could get the 6 strides. Also over the wall and still get the 7. And you can't do 5 up there, or I don't think you can do 6 on that line. So that's why he's so quick. And you know, he was not last to go, so the next one comes in can for sure beat him, but they have to try harder now.
Wow, what a time to shave off. 41.55 set by Scott Brash, but if there is a man that can do that, let me tell you folks, it's Julien Epayard next in the ring.
Scott Brash's time. Donatello Dorge gets away. 41.55 of Scott to beat, and Donny, I think, a little bit wider on the turn to the Longines verticals. Julien, those streaks ahead. Very fast getaway from the vertical 4C. Little breath on the top of 15. Yeah, down the time, 0.43, but this is a quick turn here. Julien carves back to the wall at 9. Donatello Dorge comes again, angles to open up the Lugano Oxeter. The home turn now. This will be very tight on the line. Juliette Payard is going to be just behind. I think the difference was the turn from 3 back to 4B. Julien was a little bit wider.
Henrik, how worrying is it for the rest of the field to know how dangerous a man like Julien Epayard is and see him not beat the Scott Brash time? Does that send some kind of a reminder or maybe a warning to those that are coming just how crazy that Scott Brash time is?
It can also be a motivation.
Yeah.
It can be that, okay, you know that that's the thing when you go last like this, you know you have nothing to lose. Okay, you can have a pole down, but if you want to win, you have to give everything. And yeah.
It was quite early on that you detected already had gone a little bit extra here, a little bit slower in the early stages of it.
Exactly.
And because
he did
of that,
8 instead, but I don't know if that was quicker because he flew out a little bit after number 2 instead of like Scott. He shaped it and was quicker to the double verticals. So it's yeah.
This is why it's such a fantastic game. Right, time to beat Scott Brash, still 41.55.
Hello to draw, ladies. 41.5, 5-second leading time. Penelope is definitely slower on the turn back to the verticals. Wider line and a more conservative canter. But then quickly away to come back to the Longines. Global champions to a vertical and then quickly down the acceleration to the Oxer. But it's got to find a 2.5 seconds now in the second half here. Tight turn from Le Provost from Normandy into the wall. Scott Brash is going to be okay here. Penelope Le Provost left herself a little bit too much work to do. She really galvanised herself at the midpoint away from 4C back to 6. But it's still that opening turn from Scott Brash between the Seahorses of 3 and 4B.
Perhaps a predictable time, Henrik, but I imagine that she will still be incredibly happy with the double clear over the weekend here tonight. That's got to be a really good performance for her, regardless of the time she sets.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the horse jumped 2 great rounds and she did the right thing. She tried to be smooth, but she knew even if she tries 5 times, she won't beat Scott with that horse. So she did everything right, and I think she goes home happy.
Philip Weishout, Gilles Thomas, Ken Farrington and Natalie Dean all to come. This is Philip Weishout and the young Oreo next. The time still to beat belongs to Scott Brash. The clock is set at 41.55. Does the German do this here?
You never know with Philip.
Yeah.
He's trying, but I think it's going to be hard. But like I said, Philip, you never know.
You never know. Philip Weishout in the ring. 41.55 is the time to beat.
12. And then 2 years ago in Doha 2023, his pair of wins. Philip will have seen Scott, he'll have seen the acute turns the Scott from Peebles in Scotland, Scott Brash made, and Philip Weishout is conservatively down to the Seahorse Oxer. Yeah, I don't think going to give any chase of Scott Brash is just going to try and secure a double clear. Season's points, of course, in front of his mind for the championship standings. Philip Weishout to Rodiard, going to be 3 seconds or so more, maybe down. No, only 1.6. I don't believe it. This horse's stride cover still has got him not a million miles away. Philip Weishout down to the penultimate this evening and the home turn. Rodiard, his second Longines Double Champions Tour Grand Prix, comes home. Now he's over 3 seconds down. I'm amazed it was only 1.6 seconds at the interval, but what a good double clear for Philip Weishout.
Henrik is a man who jumped in the Beerbrum stables for quite some time. Maybe you can give us some insight. What it is about him that makes you say things like, "Whoa, you never know with Philip." Why is he such an anomaly, perhaps, in the world of show jumping?
Because he's one of the fastest riders in the world. Philip can do amazing. He can turn to the jumps like not many can. But today we saw that he was not really trying. I think he understood that the horse was not really ready to compete against Scott, so he played it a little bit safe, what I think was absolutely correct. And
much like La Prevot for a young horse like
exactly.
this, 2 clear rounds, that's certainly one for the future.
Yeah, that is using the head instead and looking into the future instead.
Well, here's championship leader Gilles Thomas as well on a very young 9-year-old Callista. Let's see what the championship leader does.
Now this, the 9-year-old Callista DM, the daughter of Emerald Harry Smulders, is superb. Chestnut Gilles angles out over the seahorses to again open up the turn nicely. Gilles Thomas turns into the Longines Global Champions to a vertical. Callista DN down to the Oxer. 1 second here, the disadvantage. Gilles, though, very fast round the corner to the wall at 9, meets that with gathering momentum. Angles here again to open up this home turn. Gilles Thomas turns homebound. He will not be too far away here. Callista DN at the final fence. It's a great effort. It is simply impressive. 1.48 seconds, the margin. The Gilles Thomas comes home behind Scott Brash. He'll go third.
A 9-year-old Callista jumping a 43.03 again. Henrik, this tells me that firstly, by the way, this is big championship points for Gilles Thomas. Let's look at the bigger picture here. As a young man that works very hard on producing horses, to again do this with a 9-year-old, very bright future for this young man, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, very, very good. It was interesting to see. He really tried to do it in the correct way between 1 and 2 to shape the 9. But then, as a young horse, he didn't get away into the double, so you had to take one more, and that's a little bit experience just.
Is this proving to be the crucial line in the jump off here?
I mean, you can, of course, if you land and go and can get the first stride into the double, what is also a risk, but yeah, you can lose a lot of time when you get stuck in the turn.
Okay, proving to be a crucial fence, as we said, taking that turn, getting into the bend in the right shape, into the double. Scott Brash did it well. It's the reason why he leads. The time to beat still 41.55. Ken Farrington next in the ring.
The mighty daughter of Toulon across to Parco. And Kent Cohen's with the Rabbit Root Stables, and 41.55 of Scott Brash to target. Again, he'll angle out over the Seahorses Oxer. Tulane then jostled round the corner by Kent into the verticals. Now this will be in touch here. Kent comes lightning speed down to the Longines Global Champions to a vertical. Yeah, tiny arrears, 0.16 the deficit. Tulane right-handed very sharply to the wall. Ken Farrington says woe to his mare. Now he'll charge down to the final fence. Scott Brash's time is in peril. The number 1 comes down to the final fence. He will be just outside. 1.19 seconds. The deficit. Ken Farrington.
Ken Farrington unable to catch the time. He did really nice here, Henrik, going into that double, but then was actually ironically towards the back end. That just looked a little wider, isn't it?
Yeah, somehow got a little bit stuck to the last fence. So instead of taking direct way down to it, what is also, of course, risk because you jump a little bit against us here, he had to move out to get more space for one more stride. So I think if you want to say where did he lose it, to the last fence, probably.
You mentioned at the start of the show, Natalie Dean, Akota being a really fast horse. Final rider on the line, yes or no?
I think it's going to be difficult, but if she have to stay a little bit cool in her mind and just try to do it.
Fascinating round, right? It's going to wrap up in the next 40 seconds. Does Natalie Dean take it from Scott Brash? Let's see.
Eyes up her maiden Longines Global Champions to a Grand Prix win. Akota, lady from Palo Alto, down to the Longines verticals. Slithers in and out nicely. Natalie, it's a sharp turn. Back to the, very quick on the turn, back to the Longines Global Champions to a vertical. Natalie Dean, 0.88 to find here. Akota hurtles around the corner, through the shadows, but yeah, the mistake comes at 9. This mare's got such cornering speed, as we saw away from the combination. The last fence will go. It's a brave effort from Natalie Dean, but it's going to be 8 penalties. The final combination of the
It proves to be another victory for Scott Brash. He wins in Shanghai. He now wins in Ramatuelle, Tropez. An outstanding season this is proving to be for Scott Brash. Interestingly, Henrik, about Natalie Dean, are the lines correct, yes or no? Are their fences going down, yes or no? But as you pointed out, the speed along the ground, that was sensational to watch. You could actually visually see just how quick that horse is on the ground.
Yeah, and if you want, I mean, it's easy here to say, but, you know, like if she would have gone one less out of the turn instead to that, she wouldn't have been close. She would have been moving. And then to the you know, it was possible. It was possible, but you also have to do it, and Scott did it very, very good. Actually, if I'm happy, just before the jump off, I said to him, I put my money on you. And now I didn't put any money on him. But anyway, I was something I did right today.
You were obviously quick to identify who looks really dangerous today. It's perhaps an easy bet to look at Scott because of who he is and what he's achieved. I asked you for your thoughts on Gilles Thomas. Let me do the same about Scott Brash, a man that has obviously achieved a huge amount in the sport and still going, still obviously very hungry and performing well. What are your thoughts on a guy like Scott Brash?
You know, you have all the tools you need, and he has a very good mind, you know, and that's what you need when you go in a jump off like this, and you need to be very, very fast. Of course, his horse is also fast, but with a horse like that, you need to be very quiet because it's very responsive. So, you know, he got the jump off very, very good, and he put pressure on the other ones, and the other ones made mistakes, and yeah, it's deserved really, really well, and that's why also he won so much through his career.
We enter into a very busy period now in the summer in particular. We have Paris in a couple of days, Monaco into Valkenswaard and London, Riesenbeck, etc. What does the upcoming few months look like for you now from a global champion stage?
I will come to Paris next week.
Liana?
No, I will actually ride Minuteman, the Grand Prix. And then I will go from there and 1 week at home, and then we go to Monaco.
Okay, so the next few stages, we look forward to seeing you.
Me too. I'm looking forward to hopefully do something better than today.
I will have the same spot open for you with the same microphone open for you. Maybe it's in a different setting, we hope.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, giving us some wonderful insight in today's jump off. Scott Brash going on to win here tonight. Let's show you the results as we look back on how things ended here tonight. The results from today's LGCT Grand Prix win. Scott Brash, as we pointed out, as Henrik von Ackermann points out, a man that has a very, very sharp mind, and because of that, seemingly is able to make the right decisions at the right time. It's victory for Scott Brash, second for Ken Farrington, and Julien Epaillard, multi-LGCT Grand Prix winner, finishes in third place. Don't forget that Gilles Thomas on Callista, they're still only 9 years of age, might finish outside of the podium, but from a championship perspective, the young Belgian continues to perform on a very, very intelligent level. He comes into Ramatuelle Tropez as the championship leader, gets into today's jump off and finishes just outside the podium. Those are valuable, valuable championship points. And Gilles Thomas, all of a sudden, we spoke about this last year. Are we now looking at a potential, finally some might say, a fresh LGCT champion, the face of Gilles Thomas? Of course, it's still very early and time will tell, but it does look as if he is starting to build up a wonderful, wonderful championship haul. Next, let's hear from Scott Brash. We'll have him in the studio in a few moments' time as well. We'll also get some reaction from second and third as well. So we'll come back shortly right after this. Thoughts and reaction from today's jump off in Ramatuelle Tropez. We are live in the Ramatuelle Tropez, stage 6 of the LGCT season, and this is turning out to be a season for Scott Brash, perhaps. If it is Gilles Thomas who came into Ramatuelle Tropez as the championship leader, it's now Scott Brash, a two-time champion already in 2025, that is really starting to make this look as if it could be a season that he finally goes on to win 3 LGCT championship titles. At one stage, it was Ben Meyer, Edwina Tops-Alexander, and Scott Brash, who were all level on 2 season titles. Most recently, Ben Meyer going on to win his third, the first ever rider to win 3 LGCT championships. Edwina Tops-Alexander still on 2, Scott Brash still on 2. But with 2 victories already this season, Scott Brash is picking up some maximum points very early on and does look as if he may well make a charge into the end of the season as a potential champion and 3-time winner of the Longines Global Champions Tour. We'll give you some reaction as well from the riders. We will hear from third, we will hear from second, and also perhaps show you the rounds. That'll be a great way to start as well, in fact. Perhaps the round of Scott Brash, and give you that outstanding round that just was able to just look so dangerous, but yet so calm at the same time. We remind you that Scott Brash goes on to win in Shanghai, and it was this line here that Henrik von Ackermann spoke to us a little bit earlier on, to try and be really tight around that second fence into the double, to still be aggressive, get over that double with such ease, still be aggressive here on the turn back. Here we see again Scott Brash really pushing, really trying to cut out as many strides as possible. Comes to the wall, gets over the wall, as this final rollback as he prepares for the final line. And I remind you that at the time, Jérôme Guéry had just gone and set a 45.23. Scott Brash shaving off a huge amount of time on that, eventually stopping the clock at 41.55. Almost 5 seconds, or almost 4 seconds being cut off from the time of Jérôme Guéry, who, to be fair, was the first rider. Always very difficult to set the pace. But Scott Brash, going early on, felt absolutely no regard for that time and just fired along. Let's show you then perhaps the head-to-head between first and second. This is Scott Brash versus Kent Farrington. Scott Brash on the left-hand side, Kent Farrington on the right. You can actually see Scott Brash again getting to that second fence much quicker, going much tighter on the rollback there into the double. Farrington does well to try and bring it back here, and ironically seem neck and neck there as they turn. Scott Brash again getting to the fence slightly shorter, slightly quicker, takes a stride out there and makes sure that he has it, comes tighter here as well. And now all of a sudden into the final 2 fences, this becomes a straight shootout. Scott Brash tighter again, takes the inside line, and because of that is able to get into that final fence and beat Ken Farrington by, again, it's fractions of seconds, but in this sport, in this world, it feels like an eternity. Scott Brash winning in front of Ken Farrington to finish in first place. These are the final results coming out of Ramatuelle Tropez tonight after a wonderful stage in the French Riviera in Cannes last week. We now fast forward 7 days and bring you up to speed on stage 6 here in Ramatuelle Tropez. Farrington in second, Julien Epaillard in third place. And as we said, Gilles Thomas in 4, Jérôme Guéry in 5. What a fantastic afternoon and evening it has been for La Prévost. Pénélope La Prévost jumping double clear. She will be very, very happy with that. And Philip Weishout as well on audio. Still very young, still has a long, long way to go. Jumping a double clear throughout the weekend here today. He will be very happy with that outcome. But as it stands, Scott Brash, take a look at the time between himself and Ken Farrington. 42.74 to Scott Brash's 41.55. Lightning quick from Scott Brash. Now, we get some more reaction from some of the riders, and in fact, I see that the podium celebration now almost completed. Just over my right-hand shoulder here, a lot of the media, a lot of the cameras are all getting ready, preparing themselves for those shots of the riders to make their way in. On the far side of the arena is where the podium is built. There will be champagnes, there will be some fireworks, there will be plenty of watches to be handed out as well. It is going to be a magical evening here of celebration. And in fact, let's see, is that the signal? Is that the signal for the riders to come in? I'm seeing that gentleman wave us through. will stand by and when these horses make their way into the ring. That's it. No, in fact, he's trying to get a team together. This man is getting ready. I think it's to do some kind of, what would you call it? Some kind of a march, it looks like. Doing his job, lining up the team, preparing for a march here inside the ring. There we go, getting lessons from the senior veteran. Camera's loving it as well. There you see, just over his shoulder, by the way, the first riders coming in. We turn our attention from the soon-to-be march to the top 3 place riders in Ramatuelle Tropez as the sun begins to set beautifully through that gap. Let's head into the ring, ladies and gentlemen, and get ready for the podium celebration led by tonight's winner and already a 2-time champion in 2025, Scott Brash, the winner of Ramatuelle Tropez.
Champions Tour Grand Prix this year alone. How many more will she win and how many more will Scott win? Shanghai and now leg 6 in Ramatuelle Tropez goes to Great Britain. Scott Brash in second place. The world number 1 comes very close. Ken Farrington, 2 laner, 42.74. 1.2 seconds adrift. Kent is second. And Julien Paillard, the winner here in 2023. He is third with Donatello Dorge. 42.87, trailing by 1 1/3 second of the winning time of this man, Scott Brash, or the man before Scott Brash. The huge team that put on the Longines Global Champions Tours, every leg assembled. It is a mighty group of people that are required for all of the different roles. Thank you to everybody involved, and we welcome onto the podium another stunning performance. Julien Paillard, the winner here 2 years ago, he is third. The best for France with Donatello Dorge, and the world number 1 is second. The USA's Ken Farrington and Tulane come within 1.2 seconds of the winning time. The winner of the Longines Global Champions Tour Grand Prix Leg 6, Ramatuelle Tropez, his 14th Grand Prix win with us. It is Great Britain, Scott Brash. His second Grand Prix win this season, having won in Shanghai. He takes Leg 6 here in Ramatuelle Tropez. And we stand for the national anthem of the winning nation, Great Britain. Scott Brash takes another mighty victory this afternoon. His career knows no boundaries. John Whittaker here this week as well, and Scott is also, yes, a lot younger than John, but becoming a living legend, as John Whittaker very much is. Our congratulations to Scott Brash, who claimed leg 6 of the Longines Global Champions Tour, the Grand Prix here in Ramatuelle Tropez. And I'd like to welcome forward the Ramatuelle Mayor and Honorary President of the Longines Global Champions Tour here in Ramatuelle, Mr. Roland Bruno, awards the third place trophy to Julien Paillard, the best home finisher this afternoon and the champion here 2 years ago with Donny. And Mr. Dennis Monticolo, the event director of the Longines Global Champions Tour here in Ramatuelle Tropez. The trophy to the reserve champion. Congratulations to Ken Farrington, the world number 1, is second with 2 laner. And the Longines timepiece, the second one he wins this year, having won in Shanghai. Mr. Yannick Génie, the Vice President of Sales from Longines, awards the timepiece to Scott Brash. He's now got 14 of those. And delighted to welcome Mr. Jan Tops, the founder and president of the Longines Global Champions Tour, to award the winner's trophy for the Longines Global Champions Tour Grand Prix victory this afternoon here in Ramatuelle Tropez, leg 6 of the Longines Global Champions Tour. There's the moment we can finally exhale. It's been a crescendo that Scott Brash would have dreamed of. It's his second win this season alone with Hello Draw Lady. Scott Brash wins leg 6 of the Longines Global Champions Tour, the Grand Prix of Ramatuelle Tropez. It's the second time in our now 7-year history in British hands. Scott Brash drowns Ken Farrington, and Julien gives the Brit a very good dousing in his eyes. There's the moment. Scott Brash can finally let the emotion, the drive, the determination out a little bit. Well done to our podium. Scott Brash, Ken Farrington and Julien Paillard. Thank you to our presenting party. Mr. Yannick Génie, Mr. Jan Tops, Mr. Dennis Monticolo and Mr. Roland Bruno, the mayor of this stunning coastal location of Ramatuelle. It is of course early to say, but I think Hello Draw Lady may be in the same class as Hello Sanctos. We wait and see how her career unravels with Scott, but there's certainly a chance that Scott has got another legendary horse under his saddle. Well, thank you to the entire team here. It's been another sensational week on the Longines Global Champions Tour, and the Grand Prix is a climactic finish that sums up a superb week here. Valkenswaard United winning the GCL. Last night's Lugano Trophy going to France's one number 9, Kevin Stokes. But today belongs to Great Britain's Scott Brash and his 14th win on the Longines Global Champions Tour, the Grand Prix victory for the man for Great Britain. Away they go, ladies and gentlemen, and our congratulations. Scott Brash wins the 6th leg here. The Longines Global Champions Tour Grand Prix of Ramatuelle is in British hands the second time in our history. We say well done to Scott. We will see you next week. Leg 7 is in Paris. We'll head north to the French capital from the south of France. Myself, Ed Holloway. Good afternoon. The night belongs to Great Britain's Scott Brash.
What a wonderful podium celebration. Scott Brash and the champagne, well, he's becoming quite used to it. He has been quite used to it throughout his illustrious career, especially here on the Longines Global Champions Tour. Multi LGCT Grand Prix winner 2 times already now in 2025. And you wonder if Scott Brash, who now, by the way, jumps into the top 3 on the overall rankings, the current rankings of the season, is this a season to go on and win it all for Scott Brash? The big news is that Gilles Thomas still leads after stage 6. He's also been able to put in a little bit of room between those around him. Once again, Simon de Lestre stays in second. Scott Brash, as we said, jumps and climbs into the top 3. Max Kuhne, unable to get into the jump off, but he'll be happy to make up some championship points. Christian Kukoc does so as well. And there are drops for the riders of Sophie Hinners and Dennis Lynch, who were not present here in Ramatuelle Saint-Tropez. Eduardo Alvarez Asno, who was present, has now moved as well, finds himself inside the top 10. Andreas Skau making up some ground as well. A new look and feel to the top 10 as we get ready to head to Paris in a couple of days' time. We've been talking a lot about how quickly the stages at this part of the season start to happen. From Cannes into Saint-Tropez, into Paris, back to back to back. You know, major championship points up for grabs, and it all happens and comes through incredibly quickly. Scott Brash is through to us in a few moments' time. We'll bring him into the studio. For now, let's hear from Julien Epaillard. Rosie Turner standing by.
Yeah, thank you, Mark, so much. Julien, you said to me earlier, I'm going to do as much as I can to podium, but you were bang on today.
Yeah, I prefer maybe a second. Yeah, but okay, now my horse is coming he's coming back very well. Now I'm really happy. I lose maybe a little bit time on the vertical before the 6th strike over there. Maybe I can take a bit more risk. But okay, if yesterday night somebody tell me I will be third, I will sign. So okay, really happy with this.
Donatello really was phenomenal in their state. It was a really fast jump off.
Yeah, it was fast jump off. I did 8-1-2-2. I don't know if it was a good idea because I didn't turn well after number 2. Scott is a fast rider and Kent also. So yeah, you have to take all the risks to beat them. And today was not the first idea, like I said before. So yeah, really happy with the result.
Of course, you're a local rider as well to be here. The crowd cheering you on. Do you feel that in the ring?
Yes, of course. We're in France. Saint-Tropez is a special place. We want to do our best here. So yeah, it's always nice to have a weekend and podium and the Grand Prix in the place like Saint-Tropez.
Congratulations, Julien. Well done.
Thank you.
We are busy picking confetti off the jumper of Scott Brash. It's on the trophy. It's on everywhere. Scott Brash, welcome back into the studio. Making a bit of a habit of this in 2025. It's turning out to be quite the season to start.
Yeah, it feels good, yeah. But, I've got some fantastic horses right now, so feel very lucky and privileged to be riding them. And Shadora's, she's just absolutely fantastic. And so quick as well, and careful, scopy. She wants to win. Yeah, she's just a dream to ride.
Very blessed to have the stable that you have at the moment and developing more future talent as well. Where would you rank Chadora Lady now? Because it looks as if what we saw today made it look so simple. Scott's so smooth. It was aggressive yet calm. It was a remarkable round. Where would you rank her around what you have in the stables at the moment?
She's right up there. I think she's done 5-star Grand Prix since the start of the year. She's won 2 of them and second in 2 of them and 1 down in the other one. So it's pretty unbelievable statistics, really. And the 2 that I was second was my fault. I should have won, to be honest. So, I mean, she's just an incredible mare, and she's one of the best I've had.
What did you think of the jump-off field? The people perhaps were trying to work out, guess whether or not the size of the field was going to be double figures, 6 to 10, 8 to 12. Your thoughts on finally having 8 in there? Did that feel appropriate?
Well, I think, with Bodo, with Greg and his team, he builds amazing, so he nearly always gets the perfect result, to get 8 clears out of a strong field. I think he got the course spot on. There was faults everywhere. 8 in the jump-offs, just what you need. And all credit to him and his team, because then that brings out the best of the sport. I find, it's different when you get way too many clears or vice versa. So he gets it right every time. So I think a lot of credit has to go to Greg and his team.
We saw the head-to-head between yourself and Kent. It kind of ebbed and flowed, but the majority of where we saw the biggest difference come in was 1 to 2, the turnaround into the double. That just looked so much more aggressive for you. It's where you were able to make up the most ground. Was that going to be the defining line in the jump-off?
Yeah, I thought we got that pretty smooth and pretty good, and she jumped that fantastic. What I didn't get good was round to the wall. I had a long 6 on the Oxa before, and then she was running a little bit, and then it was a little bit of a blind turn, and off the right side wasn't smooth enough, and I was a little bit unsure if that they could have beaten us there, to be honest. But she's such a quick mare that even when you add one stride, she's so fast anyway. So yeah, she's deceiving.
Were you surprised at having the relatively early start, second to go? It's not very often that we see someone who goes quite early in the jump off set such an electric pace early on. When you came out, I'm sure you would have felt that it was really quick, but did it feel winning quick already with still quite a large number of riders to go?
Yeah, I think, as I said, I thought I didn't get it absolutely perfect. You know, I didn't nail the jump off what I thought, but I am aware of how quick she is, and I'm aware of Julian and Kent. They're super fast riders, and know that they're always going to push you to the limit with the other guys in the jump off, but thankfully it was enough today and managed to hold on.
You go up to third place on the overall rankings, by the way, now behind Gilles Thomas and Simon de Lestre. 2 victories already gives you some massive points in the beginning stages of the season. Does that influence any kind of planning going into the rest of it, or have you kind of got an original plan that you'll stick to despite maybe some early success, or does this perhaps make you start to change a thought or two?
Yeah, I'll always do what I think's right for the horses and make a plan for that, and I'll not really deviate off of that, of what I think feels right for them. So I'll not get too caught up yet. I mean, there's a lot of shows to go. There's a lot of water to pass under the bridge before the final. So yeah, listen, it's fantastic to be up there, but we wouldn't be getting ahead of ourselves at this stage.
Busy summer to come. We have Paris in a couple of days, Monaco, London shortly after that. Can you tell us what the short-term planning is when we see you again? What have you identified?
Yeah, I think my next show won't be until London of the global leg, so I'll miss Paris next week, I'll miss Monaco. But it'll be great to be in home soil in London, and yeah, we'll see from there.
All right, Scott Brash, thank you very much.
Very
Second
much.
win already this season. Scott Brash, the victor here in the Ramatuelle Tropez. He makes it 2 already in 2025 and says, well, stick to the original plan for now. We will see him back again in London, hopefully in a couple of weeks' time, as we continue down this very busy journey of a busy summer coming up. For now, let's get some thoughts and some reaction from Ken Farrington on his performance today.
Well, Ken, you're Longines world #1, and wow, did you ride like that today in the arena? I think there were a few gasps as you turned into the wall.
Yeah, we had to take some risks today. A very fast class. Scott went really fast. I thought I could catch him. I think the first line I probably needed to do one less stride because he had such a great round today.
When you're in the warm-up watching a round like that, what's going through your head before you're going in?
You know, this is horse sport, so really you can do your horse's best round, and that's what I was trying to imagine, is what is the best possible round for my horse today. And unfortunately, I don't think I had my best round. I think I had a very good round. I don't know if it would have been enough to win today, but I still think I could have ridden it better.
So is visualization something you really use before you walk in?
I think it's definitely something that we all use at a high level. You know, visualizing the course, imagining how it's going to go. I think almost all of us do that in some way or another.
Of course, Scott Brash won in Shanghai, which means you get that all-important golden ticket to the Longines Global Champions Tour Super Grand Prix. How excited are you for that?
I've never participated in it before, so maybe this year will be a first.
Well done today.
Thank you.
Thoughts from Ken Farrington, giving us some reaction to Rosie Turner a little bit earlier on, finishing on the podium today, but just ever so short of that wonderful time set by Scott Brash. I remind you, stopping the clock at 41.55 for a second victory of the season already after having won in Shanghai. I keep talking about this busy summer. I remind you of what some of the upcoming shows are, because we finish the show in Cannes, and a couple of days later we step here into Ramatuelle Tropez. The respite is not very long, because in a couple of days' time, as you can see, we go through to the French capital. A wonderful show in Paris under the Champ du Mars, the Eiffel Tower, essentially inside the show jumping ring. It is quite remarkable. And then still to put onto your calendar, we head back to Nice as we go to Monaco, and we head to London, where we will see Scott Brash again in the first week of August as he looks to return on a global champions platform. That's where we leave it tonight. The sun beginning to set here on the French Riviera. We will see you in a couple of days' time. We stay in and around the French. We now head off to Paris, and we look forward to seeing you for stage 7 of the Global Champions season. And we'll see you then in France. Good night. Bye-bye.
A European hub of elegance, style, and sporting excellence. Beneath the gaze of the Eiffel Tower, world-class show jumping reaches new heights. Precision must be flawless, nerves held steady. In this arena of grandeur, only the bold will triumph. Experience the Longines Global Champions Tour of Paris from June 20th to the 22nd.